You-
Welcome, everybody. Empowering Chats with Susan Burrell. And I have a guest today. I'm really looking forward to our conversation because he has really walked a path and leaned into the truth of who he is. And he's expressing it in a book that he published last year, right?
Yeah.
Your Love Does Matter, a journey to new consciousness and expanding your love footprint. I want to welcome David Cunningham. David, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Susan, and hello to everybody watching.
Yeah, I got chills. I got chills. Yay.
Good.
The first when we get to it, I want to talk about the journey to new consciousness
Mhm.
and your love footprint. But let's just start right at the very top of the book. Your love does matter. Now, why does your love matter? Why does my love matter? Why does it matter?
Well, if we look at our lives as human beings, the only time we're really, really joyous is when we're loving.
Yeah.
So this is not a moralistic conversation like, oh, people should be more loving. It's not a Pollyannish conversation. Wouldn't it be nice if we were more loving? It's literally a conversation about what fulfills life. We're only fulfilled when we're being loving. And it's also our effectiveness. The greatest leaders in the world, the Mahatma Gandhis, the Dr. Kings, the Mother Teresa, et cetera, are the ones that refused not to love.
Yeah.
So love is the source of real effectiveness as well. So this is a conversation about our fulfillment and our effectiveness as human beings. It matters. It matters to us. It matters to the people we interact with, and it matters to the environment of the whole planet.
It does. It totally does. And it's certainly the time frame for it right now, isn't it?
It sure is. It's a time where we can really infuse the world with love, infuse the political system with love, infuse our neighborhoods with love. There's so much that there's so many areas where it can make and shall make the difference right now.
Yeah. Getting over a cough. So I'm just going to
Okay.
put in a cough drop. So lots of people, especially with what's going on in the world, in our country, excuse me, a lot of people find it hard to believe that love matters, that it's going to make a difference with all the stuff they're allowing themselves to see on television or social media. So, how do you speak to those people?
Well, I think two things. I think that there's we can look in our individual lives, and if people just look in their individual lives, they can see that wherever love is missing, they have less joy and less effectiveness. And that whether it's interacting with their kids, interacting with their spouses or partners, interacting with coworkers, interacting with, the clerks in the store, wherever love is missing, we lack effectiveness and fulfillment. Mostly we rely on being right. If you look at every argument between people, it's about who's right and who's wrong. And what's radical there for us to discover is that none of us have ever been right and none of us have ever been wrong. We each have our views of life. If somebody's in front of the house and somebody's in back of the house, they have different views.
Right, that's true.
To
Um,
argue which is the right one makes no sense. So if we could literally, Susan, step out of that whole paradigm and get that we could lead with love, we'll find the difference it makes.
so, David, I'm so glad you said that because in your book, um, you said, so here is the shocking revelation about the world. Good and bad, right and wrong exist only in our speaking about the world and
Mhm.
not at all in the world itself. And
Yeah.
that's so true because um, so many people, hey, you want to go out for a cup of coffee? And then it always turns to what's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong. And people think they're having a conversation, you know?
Yes, and we were educated that way.
Uh-huh.
There's nothing to resent about that education, but as we grew up, we just listened to people talk and people never just talked about the weather. They said it was good weather or bad weather. no matter what people were talking about, whether it was the weather or the service in a restaurant or a cheeseburger, they didn't
Right.
just say cheeseburger, they said good cheeseburger or bad cheeseburger. They didn't tell us that they were making it up. They said it like it was true, like this is good weather or this is bad weather. And we failed to notice. Now, if people pay attention, they can listen to music and they'll hear music. Whether it's good or bad music only exists in what people say about it. It doesn't exist in the music itself. So people should really explore this for themselves and not, not just
Not
take our
take
word
our
for
word
it.
for it.
Exactly, but really look around the world to see where they find good or bad, and they won't find it in the world. They'll only find it in people's conversations.
And which is also to me, David, it's in our thought process. Like you said, we were taught. I reference this a lot. In the musical South Pacific, I don't know if you're familiar, there is a song that was in the original and then it got edited out. And it's called You Must Be Carefully Taught. And it's about racism and hatred.
Really?
And
No, not familiar with that song.
oh
Wow.
yeah. And it's amazing how that's so true. We are taught that, and we're taught that from generation to generation that
Mhm.
this is good, this is bad. It's all belief system. It's not, like you said, it's not what's really in the world.
And for people to discover that for themselves really sets them free. See, when we're free, Susan Iser, we love. So when
Yes.
we're free, we naturally love. Free from what? Free from judgment, free from resentment, free from righteousness. So to get ourselves, the job is never to try be more loving. The job is to keep ourselves free from what has us close our hearts in the first place.
I'm raising my hand. I'm waving. Oh my gosh, David, that is exactly right. Exactly right. I had a conversation with a woman who is uh, a practitioner of mental science, and she prays a lot. There's many of us that are praying a lot right now, however you pray.
Mhm.
And we were walking to class, and she started to talk about how devastated she was with what was going on with ICE, this a recent
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm.
And she had gone down the rabbit hole, and she was sucked into this whole judgment, anger, hatred, as opposed to stepping back and going, okay, so now how do I lift up? Where in me is that particle of love that
Mhm.
can free me and free others just by me stepping back and being that or sitting with it
Yes.
instead of going towards the thing we think we don't like.
Exactly. And that's why forgiveness, people have a funny notion of forgiveness that doesn't work too well, which is people think if I forgive something, I'm approving of it, or I'm condoning it, or I'm giving
Yeah.
permission for it to happen again. Forgiveness is not that. So if people could understand that forgiveness is a choice we make, it's a personal choice to either resent or love. Somebody does something. Now we're either going to resent them or love them. It's our choice. It has
Right.
nothing to do with what they did. It's our
Right.
choice. It's
Right.
not even for them. It's our life.
It's
So
for us.
it is. And, forgive, to give my love like I did before anything happened. And I know what it's like to lead a resentful life. And every time I've been resentful, it has not been fun. And when I'm loving, I am joyous, truly.
Yes.
So forgiveness is especially important now. And for people to understand that when you forgive something, it's not about the thing. You're not condoning it, you're not approving it, you're not giving permission for it to happen again. You're simply choosing your life. I'm going to stay loving no matter what happens.
No matter what happens. And
Mhm.
that is a hard choice for people because of everything that they're witnessing or they think
Well,
they're witnessing.
yeah, it's also another key thing there, Susan, would be for people to get love as a way of being. See, people often think love is an emotion, like I feel love, or they think love is a process, like I have loving thoughts. Now, when something happens, like has been happening recently, you do not have emotions of love, and you do not have thoughts of love. So if you rely on your emotions or thoughts to determine love, it is thin ice.
Yeah.
But love is a way of being. See, there's ways of being as human beings. We can be generous, we can be stingy, we can be kind, we can be cruel, we can be respectful, we can be disrespectful, we can be loving, we can be hateful. It's a way of being. That's the one thing we have a choice about in life is who we be. We may not have a choice. We certainly don't have a choice about what emotions we have. They come and go and just happen to us. We don't even have a choice about what thoughts we have. They come and go and they just happen to us. But no matter what, we have a choice about our way of being. So when people can relate to love, not as an emotion, not as a thought, but as a way of being, then it's not so hard. It's a choice I make.
I totally agree with you. That's been my mantra for the last decade
Isn't that great?
plus,
Mhm.
of I am love. I see
Mhm.
with the eyes of love. I love myself more than I ever have. That kind of thing, to continue to remind myself that I am choosing love. And really, David, isn't that like the bottom line only choice that will benefit us personally? Not choosing to go get a big important job, but just to be love, like you're saying.
Yeah, because a job or a house or something is something we have, right?
Right.
And you and I could have $1 million and be miserable, and we could have nothing and be joyous. And there's things we do too, like you and I could go skiing in the Swiss Alps and be miserable, and you and I could be sweeping the basement and be joyous. What is that the source of our happiness at any moment of life is not what we have and what we do, but who we be. And again, to find out that's the one thing we have total say about is the one thing that gives us our happiness. Hey, that's good news.
Yeah, that is good news.
Mhm.
That's totally good news. I want to read something else from your book, if I
Mm.
may.
Sure.
Um, it kind of backtracks to what we were saying a little bit. Individually and as a society, we are trapped in judgment. We cannot escape being judgmental as long as we traffic in these concepts of judgment, anger, hatred, blame, shame. We cannot love as long as we are trapped in judgment. We cannot love others. We cannot love ourselves. It is only a matter of time until we find something wrong with them or us. And then the love we are is immediately contracted.
Mhm. That's because our seeing follows our speaking. So people don't think that. They think they see something, then they talk about it.
Uh-huh.
No, we say something, then we see what we said. So, for instance, when I was a teenager, I came up with the idea that my dad was closed-minded. So I started saying, my dad's closed-minded. And guess what? I started seeing evidence everywhere. The
Right.
way he folded the newspaper, the way he combed his hair, the way he chewed his food, the music he listened to, all became evidence that he was closed-minded. I said he was closed-minded, then I saw the evidence.
Right.
If I hadn't said he was closed-minded, it would have just been music and a guy folding his newspaper a certain way.
Right.
So we speak and then we see. So in this world of judgment, where again, we haven't questioned, we debate what is good or bad. That we debate, but we haven't debated, wait, do good and bad even exist in the first place? So it's not useful to debate what is right or wrong, what is good or bad, what it should or shouldn't be. We need to back up and go, wait a minute, let's question the whole paradigm in the first place.
That's exactly what needs to be happening. And but it takes in my experience, David, it takes people that are consciously aware, and they are aware that they are at choice.
Yes. And I think it is in terms of awareness, right, or consciousness, it's also we're going to have to take that step where we got educated about who we are. We got educated that we are our bodies. How did we get educated in that? They simply pointed with their fingers and said, David, right? And they pointed at our
Right.
body. You
Right.
know, we got educated that we're separate from everything else. How'd that happen? They just gave everything a name: ball, bike, boy, tree, cat, dog. And as soon as something got named, it became separate from everything else. how did the United States get separate from Canada? One piece of dirt, they called some of it United States and some of it Canada. Now it's separate. Naming separated us. So we got named and everything around us got named. So we got educated that everything is separate and we're separate. And then we got educated that everything is right or wrong, good or bad. As a consequence of that view of life, all that got spoken, and we started seeing the world that way. If we hadn't been educated in that language, we wouldn't see it that way. But why we're trapped is because we are in that language, we're in that paradigm, so we literally see it. So somebody parks too close to the line in the parking lot, and we see wrong and we see a jerk. Now, what there is a person who parked exactly where they parked, but we see a jerk. And then our emotions, we're trapped in having then the emotions and the thoughts, that are related to the person being a jerk versus a person who parked where they parked.
Right. So I'm having an allergy attack while we talk. I apologize.
Okay, as long as it's not me choking you up there.
Yeah, I know. I went for a walk. I went for a walk earlier, and now it's
Catching up with you.
catching
Okay.
me.
Take your
So,
time.
um, and we'll have this edited out.
Okay, no problem.
Um, okay, so if we're educated to see the world a certain way,
Hmm.
how do we uneducate ourselves? Like homeschoolers, I know a lot of homeschoolers in the 70s, 80s,
Hmm.
90s decided they were going to unschool their kids,
Hmm.
not school them. So,
Hmm.
how do we do that in terms of finding love?
Well, it takes new language. So I was just working with a dad the other day, right? And the dad adopted a young boy. He's 8 years old. The boy is having temper tantrums. And the dad was at his wit's end, like how to, like, didn't know what to do next with this boy that he loves dearly but seems to be somewhat out of control. And he was caught in that language of, he did this and that was bad. He hit his sister and that was bad. Then he threw the toy and that was bad. So I offered him new language. And I offered him the language instead of what's good or bad. I said, let's talk to your son about what works and what doesn't work. So he hits his sister and then say, have a notice. Okay, you just hit your sister. Now what happened? Oh, she started crying. Then I had to come in the room. Then the TV got turned off. Then you got sent to your room for timeout. Is that what you wanted to have happen? No. Well, then your behavior hitting your sister didn't work, did it? What do you want to have happen? And then, okay, what action could you take that would work to have that happen? So just that language shift, Susan, from what's good or bad to what works and doesn't work, we literally need to create some new language because then that has us see things a new way.
Okay, that sounds pretty easy and simple, but how do you do that across the board? Do you know what I mean? You were in your book, you mentioned that you ran for a political office. Congratulations for doing that and going through with that. Um, but how do we re-educate with new language the people? Oh, here I'm gonna do their bad thing. I'm pointing the finger, David. But the
Great
people,
catch, though. Great catch.
but the people that are doing the most harm, it looks like, really, how do we re-educate them? How do we get them to see that there's a different way to react or behave, or that comes from a place of love instead of
Mhm.
fear and hatred?
Well, I've got two things going on. One is I'm trying to do as much public education as I can, introducing a whole notion of love footprint, that as much as we have a carbon footprint, we have a love footprint. In other words, every time we leave an interaction, whether it's a 30-second interaction with a clerk in a store, a 2-hour lunch with our family, or working side by side with a colleague for a year, every time we leave an interaction, we leave something behind. Do
Oh,
we leave
that's so brilliant.
do we leave argument behind? Do we leave righteousness behind? Do we
Right.
leave opinion behind? Or do we in fact leave love behind? So I'm trying to get that word out on TV and radio and this podcast as much as I can that we have a love footprint, and just asking ourselves the question, what do I want my love footprint to be? Getting that question in our consciousness makes a difference. My mom's 99. She has a 95-year-old friend that read my book, and I was over visiting my mom the other day, and her friend comes to me and says, "You won't believe what happened. I was in the grocery store and I was reaching up to get something on the shelf, and somebody behind me hit my cart with their cart. And I was about to turn around and give them a piece of my mind," she says. "And then as I was turning around, I thought, what's my love footprint going to be?" She goes, "And so I didn't yell at them. I actually was nice with them." If we can get that in our consciousness, you know, I in the morning, I have a practice. I think about my day, where I'm going to be, who I'm going to see, what I'm going to do, and I go, what's the love footprint I want to leave? And
That's a
then
great
when
practice.
I leave the situation, I give myself a little grade. I grade myself on a scale of 0 to 5. How did I do? So that's one thing. If we can give people, give the society, give people around the world something that they can practice. And I think this love footprint is something people can practice.
Absolutely.
And the other thing I got going is I'm committed to infuse the political system with love. So I sent my book to every member of Congress, the president, and the vice president of the United States. All right.
Yay.
And then I've got a project we're starting here in Pennsylvania, where I live, where we're going to go to the Capitol in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, our state capital, once a week for a year. We're going to start this in probably in March. And every week we're going to go to the Capitol and just do an act of love. So the first week we're going to take a group of men right out of prison. I've been working with a group of formerly incarcerated men. We're going to take them up. They're going to deliver an orchid to every legislator. The next week, we're going to go up and take a group of trans teenagers up and just have them open the doors for legislators. No political talk whatsoever. Acts of love, respect, honor. Next week, we're going to go up and take a group of moms on food assistance programs up. They're going to go and deliver a letter of acknowledgement to every legislator. So we can infuse those systems are that are apparently devoid of love, or not, not working with a love energy, to say it mildly. We can infuse those systems with love. So that's another thing we can do that I'm engaged in.
I
And,
love that idea.
and I'm committed that make a difference. So infuse the systems with love, and introduce a whole new notion to the planet called we have a love footprint, and get people to pay attention to that.
I love that idea, David. I'm going to pass that along
Good,
to
good.
my students and colleagues. The because what's like I'm outside of Los Angeles. I'm in Ventura, and I live near the government center. And there's all of 2025. There's been what they started to say was demonstrations, but they're definitely protests. So
Hmm.
then there's a us against them thing going
Hmm.
on, which keeps everybody separate. It
Hmm.
doesn't bridge any kind of gap or open a conversation that might
Hmm.
resolve something.
Hmm.
But your idea of how what is a love footprint I want to leave? If people were standing on that corner being love, just radiating love,
Hmm.
um, you know, and like John Lennon said, love is all there is.
Yeah, Dr. King just refused not to love, no matter who it was, what
Yeah.
happened. No. See, other people can determine what we have. Like a bank could repossess my house. Other people can determine what we do. Like somebody could put me in jail. But nobody has a say about who we be. That's ours. That's maybe our real birthright, our say about who we be.
Yeah.
Our choice to be loving, nobody, no matter what they do, no matter what, can make us be a certain way. That's up to us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I started a nonprofit, Susan, called the Love Matters Collaboration. And I'm committed that in the year 2026, we get members from every country in the world. I want it to be a real grassroots movement. And when you join the collaboration, there's no membership fee. I would never have a membership fee. When you join the collaboration, I have you sign a pledge to expand your love footprint wherever you go, whatever you're doing,
Cool.
wherever you're with. So,
Cool.
so if I can turn that into a grassroots movement, which I'm planning to in 2026, so that we have people from all over the world signing a pledge to expand their love footprint, we can make a difference.
So, David, the Love Matters collaboration is that the name of the website so people can check it out?
And no, the website would just, it could be that they could go there, but it's easy to go to yourlovedoesmatter.com. Yourlovedoesmatter.com. Everything's there.
Okay. Um, yourlovedoesmatter.com.
Hmm.
Uh, I love the idea of getting people to commit by making a pledge how
Hmm.
they want to, because that when people make a commitment like that, it puts action to it as opposed to just being love, I'm love, being love. But if they make a commitment to something,
It does, doesn't it? And Susan, I will celebrate so much that day when we have actually keeping a list of every country, when we have members, people who've signed that pledge in every country in the world. That's a state change for the planet.
oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
So
Yeah.
2026, it's a big year.
And it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter if it's what do I want to say? If it's a king or a president or a
Mhm.
hierarchical person, that's not important. Just having people say, yes, this is what matters. It does
Mhm.
matter. Love
Mhm.
does matter. And
Yes.
I'm making a pledge to make sure that my actions bring more love.
And that's maybe the one thing, as you said earlier, the one thing that I have a total choice about, and it's the big, maybe the biggest choice of my life. Do I lead a loving life? Do I lead a judgmental, resentful life?
Yeah.
Which life do I lead? Maybe it's the biggest choice we got.
I think it is the biggest choice we got. I have one more thing I want to ask you. In the back of your book, you have how to practice relying on your love.
Hmm.
And it's a nice practice uh, for, in a way, reconciliation, but it's about just being love. I'm going to read it. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. So to practice relying on your love, you identify a person you're struggling with.
Hmm.
You ask yourself, what am I relying on? Am I relying on being right, um, convincing, strategic, dominating, all that? And then ask yourself, what's in the way of me relying on love?
Hmm.
That's a big deal.
It is. Again, I just worked with a physician who was having real trouble with one of the staff in his office. And and so I asked him that question, what are you relying on? And when he looked at the situation, he was so relying on being logical. He kept trying to explain to this employee the logic. You know, here's the logic. Here's
Uh-huh.
what makes sense. And it wasn't working at all because there was no love. Logic without the love makes no difference. I don't care how right we think we are. Again, we've never been right, but even if it looks like we're right, I don't care
Right.
how right we are. Without the love, it makes no difference. See, our power, our effectiveness as human beings is completely determined by how listened to we are. The person that isn't listened to, I don't care how brilliant they are, if you're not listened to, it makes no difference.
Right.
So the degree to which we're listened to is what gives us our ability to make a difference with people and in life. People won't listen to us if we don't love them. They just won't. You ever have somebody give you advice that you knew didn't respect you?
Yeah. Oh,
You,
yeah.
you didn't want their advice.
No.
No. But if you know that you're loved and respected by somebody, you listen to them. So for us as human beings to make a difference with anybody, we've got to be listened to by them. And the access to being listened to is loving them.
So, and that's the other, that's the flip side too, because the people that we feel we are against, so to speak,
Hmm.
um, what you just said, David, if we listen to what they're saying with love, not condoning it, again, it goes back to forgiveness, right?
Hmm.
But giving them love, then they soften. I've had this experience. They soften a bit, and then you can begin to see where maybe there's commonalities, where maybe this person is just so. fearful or they don't love
Mhm.
themselves,
Mhm.
but to be listened to by someone with an open, loving heart just makes a big difference in how they want to react in the world.
Oh boy, mostly we think our speaking is the most important part. Well, our listening is
Yeah.
equally important to listen to
Yep.
others. And if we want to be hurt by somebody else, oftentimes we got to listen to them first, right?
Yes, that's so true.
And we
That
can't
is so
fake
true.
listen. It's not like, now listen to me. It's not like that. No, you have to really listen. And what to listen for is what really matters to the person. So, somebody's telling you, in the last election, I had a neighbor that was voting exactly the opposite way I was. And at first, I was a little bit surprised by it. But then, for a few days later, I noticed some Facebook posts that he was making that were pretty insulting to the other the other side, right? You could say.
Yep.
And so I called him up. I go, "Hey, can we talk? I just want to understand. I don't understand, I don't understand why you're saying what you're saying. Can we talk?" So I went over to his house for probably about 2.5 hours and I listened. And I listened probably for the first 2 hours. I didn't say a word. I just listened. I said, tell me what you're thinking. Tell me how you see things. And you can imagine some of it I didn't agree with.
Yep. Yep.
And some of it I wanted to debate, but that wasn't the point. The point was that he got heard and I listened. And after about 2 hours, I said, "Anything else?" He goes, "No, that's everything." I go, "Okay, great." Now, we still didn't agree, but boy, were we connected.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And our dialogue is open, right? So there's no argument there. We don't agree on the topic, but I got a real sense of why it matters to him. So
Hmm.
it wasn't just his opinion I was hearing. I listened for why was this important to him. And when you hear what's important to another person, then you can have a respect for them that you may not have if you just listen to the detail of their position.
Right. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. And that also says to me, listening isn't about so then you can fix them.
No.
Oh, it's just accepting their point of view.
Yes. And accepting, by the way, isn't agreeing with or condoning or saying it's okay. So acceptance is simply having something be what it is. So
Right.
if I accept that if it's raining outside and I go, I accept that it's raining. I'm not saying it's okay that it's raining. I'm not saying I like that it's raining. I'm saying it's raining. And then I can live intelligently, take an umbrella. So acceptance is simply having something be what it is with no judgment. That's acceptance.
And
And
that's a lifelong practice.
it is, it is. It's a very important one. So acceptance and forgiveness are really key practices in this whole thing.
Yeah, yeah. So your love does matter. Journey to new consciousness. So this
Mhm.
is this by creating by individuals becoming aware of their love footprint, we are activating the new consciousness. Is that?
Yes, and another key piece of that is I started to mention before and didn't follow through, which is who we've been educated we are. We've been educated that we are these bodies, these personalities.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not relating to ourselves as light, as source, as love, as divine beings. So a new consciousness literally is a new relationship to ourselves, like who we consider ourselves to be. And people need to be able to separate reality from truth. I don't know what's true. I don't know if you do. I don't know what's true. Okay.
Not anymore.
But for sure, I can be responsible for realities I live in. Like, hey, I live in a reality that this is Thursday. Okay. Now, is it true that it's Thursday? I don't know. Realities, you see, got created by people speaking and then agreement about what people said.
Uh-huh.
So I live in reality. I live in a reality that my name is David. How'd that happen? Well, the parents I had said we're going to call this one David. Then they got my grandparents to call me David. Then they got my teachers to call me David. So all now I can't even imagine not being David. But it's a reality. It's not the truth. And so there's a reality we live in about who we are. And the new consciousness I'm talking about is being able to live in a reality that who I am is light, who I am is love. People in meditation, prayer, etc., can often experience, they go look within and they say, I can experience the light within, the love within me. I just offer people, okay, now experience that light. Now call that light you. Say, that's me. That's me. I am that light. And start relating to yourself as the light. That new consciousness is what's required.
You know what? I love that. That's brilliant that you said that because it is a different perspective that most people don't see themselves through, a
Yes.
different lens.
And then I enjoy and invite other people. I study light. So just if I could look out my window now and the light is shining, and if I study the light, I watch how it wraps itself around every blade of grass with no judgment, no prejudice, just completely, freely, tenderly wraps itself around every blade of grass with no prejudice and gives life to it. Oh, that's how light works. Okay, well, I think I'm living like light. I think I'm going to live like light lives. That's a great life.
I love that. I love that. Um, wow. What a great conversation, David. Thank you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for creating the Love Matters collaboration and encouraging people, your commitment for the entire year to go to your state capital and do something, an act of loving. I thank you for doing all that. I can feel the ripples, you
Yes,
know.
I hope other people in other states. I'll be, keeping I'll keep people notified about that on Facebook, et cetera. And I'm hoping people in other states pick up that idea and run with it, and I'll support them any way I can.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful idea.
Mm.
It's so wonderful. So thank you for everything you do and thank you for being love.
Mm.
It's a gift. It is. So I'm just going to end with, and so it is.
And so it
Namaste.
is. Namaste. Thank you, Susan.
Yeah.